Hey guys, it's Jess again, and welcome to our first ever Pokemon tournament vlog. So, what is a tournament vlog for those who don't know? I like to play locals, I think like every single card game player on the planet, so I take you guys along with me. We're gonna go to my first ever recorded Pokemon locals. I'm going to record and commentate every single one of my matches. And I'm gonna take you guys along for the ride. We can open some packs and chill a little bit afterwards. I'm a big fan of this cozy style of video because I get to do other things as well. Specifically, I really need to clean out the jellyfish tank before I go. So that's gonna be our first task for the day. Then we'll probably play locals and we'll see what happens afterwards. That being said, I'm excited and let's go clean some jellyfish. So, I recently made a bit of a short video about how we feed the jellyfish, because they're kind of needy. My favorite thing to call them is the world's neediest lava lamp. And that goes for today, because we need to do a full clean out, because it's been a while since they've had a full scrub down. Some algae has built up, there's a bit of dirt in the tank, so we're gonna have to mop all of that up. And that means removing the jellyfish from the tank. So this is going to be fun. So, things haven't exactly gone to plan. There's still a little bit of debris floating around in the tank, which obviously needs to go before the jellyfish come back in. But I'm late for locals. So I'm going to go ahead and take you guys with me to locals, and Tom is going to very quickly finish up with the jellyfish after it's all filtered, and we'll meet him there. So let's go. Alright, we made it to locals, and we have our entry pack, which we're going to open in a second. We also have a big ass pile of cards that I ordered off of Card Market and they saved for me because I want to play a new deck. I've been playing Dragapult for the past couple of weeks, but I want to have another option that I can take to events like locals. So I want to build Eevee because it's a deck that I love the toolboxy play style of. So we've got most of the cards of that here, which is a very good thing. Let's see what's in the prize pack though. Okay, I'm actually a big fan of that, because this card is not played, but it is incredibly pretty. It is maybe one of the least useful Eevee evolutions for Eevee Box, but it still looks pretty, so that's all that matters. Let's set up properly. I need to go and set up the full tripod and everything ready for recording matches, so I'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. And we are off with round number 1. I start with Pheasantipity, draw for turn, and then immediately pass turn because I have no playable cards in hand. Amazing start, I know. My opponent starts off with a Buddy Buddy Poffin, going for double Gimmighoul. I attach an energy to my Pheasantipity, discard my entire hand with Professor's Research. I do get to Dreepies and Duskulls, but I have discarded both of my Dusclops. Not ideal. My opponent then goes Skyzer, and then knocks out my Pheasantipity, getting 2 prizes. I get double Dragloak. I get to dig through my deck a little bit here. I go Iono to draw 6 cards, and Night Stretcher getting back a Pheasantipity to draw 3. Now, I only have 1 Night Stretcher in deck left, so that's only 1 card that can get me that Dusclops. My opponent then goes for a Stadium to protect Steel types a little bit more, and then goes for Professor Toro, bouncing back the Skyzer to remove it from the field. Now, the Goldengo is free to attack, but does not kill my Dragloak. And now, because I don't have the energy to retreat, I can't go for a full attack. I just have to Jet Headbutt and pass turn. My opponent then goes for their own Iono, drawing back 4 cards, and my hand gets reset back to 6, and I drop a Hilda. Now, this does give me enough energy to be able to do Phantom Dive, and I have Counter Catcher to back it up. but I choose not to kill anything because I don't want to give my opponent a ton of draws off of the Pheasantipity here, and killing the Genesect isn't really meaningful. My opponent does end up going for an Energy Search Pro, searches a ton of energy, knocks out my Dragapult in retaliation. I go for Hawlucha, trying to gain some prizes. Now, the big question, can I power up this Dragapult? I need one more energy to be able to do that. Am I gonna see it? I draw 4 copies of Rare Candy and have to Jet Headbutt again. I cannot power my Dragapult up with Phantom Dive, and my opponent uses double Superior Energy Retrieval for game. Well, that didn't go ideally. Turn 1, I had to just end turn. I couldn't physically do anything. I just had Pheasantipity pass. I then researched. I did get into some engine pieces, but I had to discard double Dusclops to do that. So I had to discard my Blood Moon to do that, and I only saw 1 Night Stretcher in the game, so I couldn't get access to my resources again. It's unfortunate. I think also because my Neopa was prized, I couldn't get access to energy in the late game, so I couldn't power up any of my Dragapults. I think the one mistake I maybe made was where I put the first energy on the Dragloak. I should have put it on the active spot, but that assumes that it's going to live. But yeah, we'll go on to round number 2, and hopefully it picks up a little bit better than that. And we are off with the second game. I win the dice roll and choose to go second. My opponent does mulligan, but then starts off with Monkey Dory, grabs a copy of Ralts, and passes turn. I get 2 copies of Dreepy, attach to energy, and hit with Badoo to turn off items. The Badoo does get knocked out in retaliation, but I am able to Rare Candy straight into Dragapult. Now, I have an opportunity to knock out this Kalia if I can find energy plus Counter Catcher. Unfortunately, I need that Counter Catcher though, because I wasn't able to set up any Duskulls turn 1. Now, I do have the Counter Catcher, I just need an energy, and I don't get it. I just hit with Jet Headbutt once again on that Kalia, because I wasn't able to see an energy. My opponent starts their turn, they go with Monkey Dory, they transfer some damage over, bench a Mew, we bench a Frillish to potentially evolve next turn, and I draw. I'm then going straight for that Rare Candy into Dusknoir, going into Dusclops. I have a lot here, and I am able to take the knockout on both the Mew, the Kalia, and a Monkey Dory. So my opponent has very little follow-up not having Gardevoir. We then go for a Jellicent, end up benching 2 Ralts and bossing up a Dragloak. However, I have the energy to be able to retreat the Dragloak, and with a boss's orders, I take match 2. And that was round number 2. I found a plant. So, that was round number 2. We played against Gardevoir, and we ended up winning. The Dragapult Gardevoir matchup is meant to be 60-40 in the favour of Gardevoir, but as long as we can keep our opponent off of that Gardevoir, and we can just knock out all of the Ralts and Kalias, then we win. Thankfully, that is what happened. There was no Lily's Clefairy in sight. My opponent did have an opportunity one turn to evolve the Kalia into a Gardevoir, but luckily for us, just didn't have access to it. I was trying to dig just to be able to knock out the Kalia, but I couldn't. Mainly because I wasn't able to set up a turn 1 Duskull. That being said, 2 more rounds to go. 1-1. Every single locals I have played, I have gone 3-1. So hopefully it changes. Or hopefully my luck remains. And we are off with match number 3. I lose the dice roll, my opponent chooses to go second, and I bench a Latias and pass. Not an ideal turn 1. My opponent then attaches a Bravery Charm to Monkey Dory and passes back. I buddy Puffin, get access to my Duskull and my Badoo, and now we're off to the races. Sadly, I don't have a Dragloak to follow up, but my opponent doesn't have a ton either. We Iono, we bench a bunch of Pokemon, but being God of War, there is still no Ralts on my opponent's side of the field. Now on my follow-up turn, I am able to Rare Candy into that Dragapult. I am able to go into Dragloak. I'm able to go into Dusclops. I now have full reign over my opponent's board, and I take 2 knockouts. My opponent is able to get Serendipity draws in retaliation, but importantly, only benches Ralts this turn, meaning there isn't much access to Gardevoir, and I can cut it off with Dusclops plus Dragapult. I end up using my Dusclops on my opponent's Clefairy so that it is killable with Dragapult. I use Holucha to snipe a counter on that Ralt so that Dragapult can just knock it out. I go Hilda, just search for a copy of Dragloak because I don't have any energy left in deck, and knock out that Lily's Clefairy plus Ralts, leaving me on 1 prize to 5. My opponent then benches 2 copies of Ralts, goes for a Professor's Research. Is there any way to come back here? We attach an energy to Ralts, and the game gets conceded because I have game on my attack. That was round 3. We ended up taking the round. Okay, I was going to say 2-0, but it's best of 1, so we ended up taking the round 1-0. Opponent was really, really nice, had some fun. Played against Gardevoir, second Gardevoir in a row. I don't really have too much to say. Like, just like round 2, we just kept our opponent off of Ralts. We never saw a Gardevoir get into play. My opponent definitely didn't open a great hand, just going Monkey Dory pass, but sadly I didn't have the Rare Candy punish. That being said, 1 more round left today, no top cut. Let's see how it goes. Final match of the tournament, we are off, and I lose the dice roll. My opponent makes me go first. I go for a Buddy Poffin to set up some resources and pass turn. Now, my opponent is playing Raging Bolt, but isn't able to get much. Just bosses up my Duskull and passes back. Now, I go Dragloak, I'm trying to dig for some resources. I get the Rare Candy to go into Dragapult, but I can't use Phantom Dive. I just go for a Jet Headbutt, pass back. My opponent then goes for a Crispin, gets 2 energies, and then discards their hand to draw 6 cards. It passes back to my turn, and I get that energy for Dragapult. I then go Ultra Ball into Dusknoir, Rare Candy it, and kill the Raging Bolt. Now, I think that was a bit of a mistake. I think I should have kept the Ultra Ball in hand, but I do still have the 2 cards in hand that I will take momentarily from my prizes. My opponent, with those 3 Serendipity draws, is able to get a full setup with double Teal Dance and a fully set up Raging Bolt, which immediately knocks out my Dragapult. So, I need to get something good for follow-up. I have my Serendipity draws, I go into another copy of Dragapult, use my Dusknoir to paste counters on the Serendipity, which doesn't knock it out. I then use Iona, roaring 4 cards. However, I still cannot get energy on that Dragapult, so I put Holucha up, because it's only a 1 prizer, and pass. My opponent here goes for superior energy retrieval, but doesn't find a way to knock out that Holucha, so passes back. That means I can go Hilda, search another energy, attack with the Dragapult, knock out that Serendipity, and put myself in a winning position. Because even if my opponent can get the knockout on that Dragapult here, they are going to go down to 1 prize, in which case I am just going to bring up that Ursaluna, as I do, and just attack for game. Right, it is the next day, because I got very sleepy as soon as I came back from locals, but I had a lot of fun. Last round we played against Raging Bolt and we ended up taking the win. The match was, I want to say, interesting. I definitely made a couple of mistakes. I shouldn't have used Ultra Ball for Dusknoir when I did, for example. I should have just kept the cards in hand as follow-up resources. and not had to rely on the prizes I took or the top deck for turn. I definitely think I played a bit questionable in that regard, but also with energy. So one big issue I had in this tournament was this was the first time that I played 6 energy in Dragapult. Normally I play 7, and I'm really comfortable with 7. But because I started playing 6, and a couple of games I prized multiple energies, I struggled to get off Dragapult's main attack. I ended up having to use the first attack multiple times. And I think for best of 1, where I don't have game 2 and 3 to fall back on, if I do prize multiple energies, I don't think 6 energies is the way to go for me, especially with my experience with the game. I think having that fallback of 7 energies is just better for me right now, at least in best of 1. But we still ended up going 3-1 yet again. That is my 4th Pokemon Locals tournament, and it's the 4th time I've gone 3-1. I've gone 3-1 every single time, still haven't broken the curse. One day I will have a tournament where I don't break a game and go 4-0, I swear. Or break all 4 games and finally go 0-4. Either way, I had a lot of fun. And some good news, the jellyfish are now clean. It took a little bit longer than we expected, but they are happy, blubbing, floating around their aquarium. So everything ended up working out. I got a pretty Espeon from my entry packs, walked away with some store credit, and the jellyfish are clean. So everything's good. And that is gonna round out today's video. Honestly, I have been having so much fun playing Pokemon. Hopefully next time I'm gonna be on a bit of a different deck, something a little bit more toolboxy in EV Box, but I'm excited. And if you want to follow along with my journey, make sure to like, comment, subscribe to keep up to date with when the next video is going to drop. That being said, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.